Well, good afternoon. This is Pastor John and Minister Paula Sanders. We're coming to you today from the cafe, picking up our conversation on race that we started after the death of George Floyd. And we've been on a regular basis having deeper conversations. So, Minister Paula, you've been here at University City now for a year and a half or something
sort of,
like
kinda.
So how did you happen to first come to this church?
Well, we were living up the road at Bexley, right off of W.T. Harris, and I was invited by not a member here, but a friend of mine to come to the, I forget the name of it, but it was a prayer group for women.
Oh, yes.
In the evening time, and it was wonderful. And we came to the sanctuary sometimes for prayer, and then I really love the feel, and I love the spiritual energy in here. So I invited my daughter and my grandbaby, and we came and visited a couple times on Sunday, and we stayed.
Well, I've certainly gotten to enjoy many times conversations with you and learn you've lived in Alabama, you've lived in West Virginia,
there.
You've been in Rhode Island, and tell us a little bit about your life.
Well, I was born in Montgomery, Alabama. My mom relocated us when I was about 5 years old to Charleston, West Virginia. And her brother was in the Navy in Newport, Rhode Island. And when I graduated from first Charleston, West Virginia, Stonewall Jackson High, and then I went back to Alabama and went to Tuskegee University for 2 years there. And then I came and visited my uncle in Rhode Island, who was stationed in the Navy. And I met my husband there, and 2 babies, and went to college and finished my BA at Salve Regina University. And I was doing theater and the arts and so forth at Salve. Next thing I know, I got an invitation from the director of the Martin Luther King Center, Dr. King Center, contacted my mentor, head of the English and Theater Department, and asked me to come and work with the youth at the Martin Luther King Center.
In Atlanta?
In Newport.
Oh, in Newport, there was one there.
Yeah, and so that's when all of my art stuff happened. And then I worked with the kids there, and then I realized, I said, this was before I had children, doing that cultural theater and so forth with them. I want this for my own children, because if you know history about Newport, Rhode Island, of course they had the slaves there and so forth, but there were not as many black people there, and so I wanted the culture around my children. So what I was learning, had learned at Tuskegee and in Alabama, African American culture and African culture, I wanted that for my children. So not only the community, but my children as well. So I created groups and stuff, and had the craft expression, and then had another program called the Newport Black Ensemble Theater. And then we had a board that said, you need something a little less, you need to take that black theater off of there and make it something more inclusive. So we came up with alternative avenues. So I've been doing cultural awareness and so forth. Then God called me into the ministry, and I thought about how that happened, and I wanted to share with you. I was working at a place in Rhode Island, in Newport, Rhode Island, at Newport Mental Health Clinic. And one of the girls that I would talk to and was mentoring her got in trouble, and they had a high rise for those clients who had mental health issues, drug issues, got in trouble. She got in a fight with someone, but it wasn't her fault. So we had a council meeting, and I defended this young lady. I spoke up for her. They were going to put her out of her apartment. And I saw what happened, so I defended her, and I spoke up for her, and she was able to keep her apartment. That week later, we were having revival or something at my church, Community Baptist Church, and she surprised me and came there. And she wanted to get saved and be baptized, and she did. And the next thing you know, that testimony led the pastor, Dr. Vincent L. Thompson Jr. He pulled me to the side and he said, I believe that there's a place for you on our associate minister's Council. Would you be interested?
Wow.
And I said, yes, sir.
So you've had lots of experiences in Baptist, AME Zion, United Methodist churches, and then bringing this music and arts together with ministry. What was that Alternative Avenues again? What
Okay,
is
it
that?
started out Alternative Avenues Youth and Families Incorporated. It went to Alternative Avenues Traditions and Cultural Arts. As of 2019, here in Charlotte, it is now Alternative Avenues Through the Arts Incorporated. And we got our own 501c3. We don't have to have a fiscal agent now. That happened in 2019 here in Charlotte. So for a long time, I had a vision back there before I did my initial sermon and everything. About the time that young lady came and said that she wanted to be saved, and I could have lost my job. After that, I had a vision. Bright light came in through my bedroom window one morning, and I heard the voice of the Lord, it was the Holy Spirit, say, "You've done so much with your gifts for me, but I want you to come deeper. I want you to come further." And so after that, I ended up going into the ministerial council, but he wanted me to use those arts coupled with the gospel and do more than just sing gospel, but to really reach people. So preaching was the next step. So I've been incorporating all of that, cultural awareness and the arts, gospel music, sing a little bit, and storytelling.
So speaking of next step, your next step at University City is to be the preacher. This coming Sunday. We'll look forward in our Thrive series to your message. But as you think about the deeper you get involved in the life of this church, you've picked up on our intentional efforts to shift from homogeneous to multi-ethnic. What have you seen, and maybe how else might we consider taking further steps on this?
It's such a tremendous opportunity, Pastor, to be able to take what God has done through me in the past with the cultural arts and so forth, and be able to have it under the umbrella. Since I came to this area, I've wanted to house what God has given me creatively under the umbrella of His house. And God does things so mysteriously. Being with St. Paul's United Methodist in Rhode Island, where it has a history of the abolitionist movement and helping with the Underground Railroad, that church showed me their places where they brought my ancestors through, and showed me where my ancestors would sit up in the balconies to do services. But it is so miraculous that I'm here now with another not St. Paul's, but United Methodist Church, to continue the work of the arts and the gospel and the spiritual, and teach people. It's a wonderful.
So we're able to learn some of the painful stories of our history that I often find many white people, they just don't want to go back there.
Right.
But we can tell those stories, but using arts, music, and then bringing multi-ethnic teams together to act, sing, do the tech, all that builds relationships in the modern day.
It can do that, and my group was doing that in Rhode Island. I've tried to do it here, and my stuff has been on the back burner because of COVID here. I was auditioning a recent play that I wrote about, which I showed to you, about police brutality, but to have a family and a community that was in crisis to end up with a positive solution by going and using the arts and using our spiritual awareness to do panel discussions and to do get some better understanding and do some healing with what had happened in the play, what had happened in that community where two young people were shot because of misidentity, mistaken identity. On their graduation night, they were shot after their graduation party, is in the play. I'm suggesting that we may not be able to do the whole play, but one of the scenes was like panel discussions and very positive police from the community coming together with the families. Let's talk about this. Let's get to the root of it. And I would suggest that University City do some things like that. You know, really do diversity training and learning about the history and beautiful things about the history. I would do a Kwanzaa right here. I don't know if you've heard about Kwanzaa. I don't know if the audience has heard about Kwanzaa, but Kwanzaa is like the best of the African American and the African tradition about community development, family development, intergenerational appreciation of the elders. Sometimes that's lost in our community in America. So I would suggest that we do that with University City to bring some of those, not only with the African American and the African, but to be multi-ethnic. You know, some of our Spanish traditions and Italian traditions or whatever, to be multi-ethnic. Everybody should be represented creatively. And you can say anything you want to say. A lot of times, don't curse, but on stage, you can, one of my dean told me that at Salve, theater allows you an opportunity to say many hurtful things, tell the truth, tell the history, but you can do it creatively in a song. Something that may be very touching or very hurtful, you can say that in prose, or you can a poem, or you can say it in a song or a dance. So
beautiful.
Well, arts.
Minister Paula, thank you for this conversation today. I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to your message on Sunday, and then also how to go further with our creative worship team and the use of music and arts and drama in the life of this church. So we'll hope to have some more conversations about this.
God is doing a wonderful thing.
So thank you for this time today, and we'll look forward to your message this coming Sunday.
Thank you.